Hey guys, it's Merce. Welcome back to Harpies in the Trees, where I review horror books with a supernatural focus. I hope you guys are doing well out there, taking care of yourselves, and also watching out for each other. For me, this has been a really tough couple of weeks, just a lot of personal stuff and everything in the world that's happening is a bit heavy. So I didn't really get a lot of reading done this week, but I was tagged by Alex at HeyLittleThrifter for a really cool tag called Second Tome Around. And it's just going to be talking about used books and philosophies on used books and, you know, what are the preferences and everything like that. And so I thought this would be really fun to do. So yeah, let's just have a little chat. Let's talk about some used books. And yeah, this tag was originally created by the Hungry Bookworm. So if you want to check out that original video, I'll have that in the description box below, along with Alex's original video as well. So here are the questions. Do you buy secondhand books? Absolutely. I love buying secondhand books because it's not just about finding the book that you wanted, it's also about finding the book that finds you. Digging for books and just kind of browsing and perusing, you feel like you're not just looking for a book, you're sort of looking for like some kind of like little destiny, you know? Like what will you come across and what will that book be about, and will it be something that inspires you or, you know, really takes you into another world and transports you there. So it's always been very exciting for me to buy secondhand books because I do love the thrill of the hunt. I'm one of those people who loves just sifting through things. I really do enjoy that aspect and just also too just the unknown factor of what I will find. When I was a teenager, I loved V.C. Andrews so much. And I was able to get her whole entire series at the time by just searching and digging at the thrift stores. There would be so many of her books that were just coming in and like in a huge amount. So I would get a book that I didn't have and I would read that one. And then when I went back to the thrift store at some point and I found a better version, you know, maybe the artwork was better or, you know, this one wasn't as damaged or something like that, then I would start replacing them with like these better versions that I would eventually find there. It was so fun. Like I really miss something like that in my life. And for me, buying new is not better than buying used. I think that there is something kind of interesting and gives a book more character and meaning if it's something that's survived for a really long time. New books are cool when they have these, you know, new kind of skins, you know, new artwork, new style of representation. Those can be really fun too. But there are so many books out there that are just reprinted constantly. There should be like some minimum to how many times Hans Christian Andersen's Grimm fairy tales can be printed, for instance. Question 2. What is or was your latest secondhand purchase? As you probably know, I am an American living here in Germany, so it's not that easy to come across English books. It's not that there are no English books to be found, it's just that the selection is normally really, really small, and if you're looking for independent American writers, you're definitely not going to find it here. And also just going into a used bookstore or antique laden, as they're called for antique stores or anything like that, anything that's like secondhand, it's not going to have a lot of English books and not a very good selection. So what I normally do is I go to a UK website called World of Books, and they sell all of their books are used online, and I can just peruse their online catalog for hours. And that is how I buy my used books, because I was normally buying my books from Book Depository, but you know, new books can be very, very expensive. So I was really, really happy when I found World Books. So if you know of any other online retailers that are selling English books, probably in the UK or Ireland, let me know. But that is what I'm using at the moment. So the last batch of books that I bought, which was months ago from World of Books, had this book. And I did specifically buy it for the cover because it's just really, really beautiful. What I really love about it is just the way I don't know if it's like really a ghost or a specter or a ghoul or whatever, but kind of just like this laughing motion, like, you know, I have a secret and it's a really dark one and you're not going to find out until it's too late kind of maneuver. So I specifically got this just for the cover. It was printed in 1981 and it has a bunch of short stories that, you know, I think we're all probably pretty familiar with. Stories by Agatha Christie and Stephen King, Jerome K. Jerome, who actually wrote one of my favorite stories of all time, but it's not a horror story. It's called 3 Men in a Boat. And I have the audiobook version, which has Hugh Laurie as the narrator. And it is abridged, so it's much shorter than the book, but it's hilarious. It's so funny. If you like satirical Victorian humor, oh, it's so good. Question 3. What condition do you find acceptable? I think for me, just as long as the pages aren't falling out, and sometimes with used books, the pages can be extremely dry and they just start crumbling to pieces. That's at the point where I'll be like, it's not worth it because it's just going to turn into dust before I can even finish it. But other than that, I'm not really that particular. I'm not someone who feels like I need to have pristine editions or anything like that. It's just not. It's not really what is that important to me. It's more the story and just the experience of reading. Question 4. After you have read said book, do you keep it for reread or redonate it? So when I moved from the US to Europe, I had to get rid of so many things because the cost of shipping things overseas is just extraordinarily expensive. So I had to get rid of almost every book that I owned. I only kept a few, and they were just the only reason why I really kept them was because they were antiques. So I do have a small stack of like very precious antique books of mine that are actually not here with me in Germany. They're somewhere else, but I still have those. But it made me kind of question, like, do I want to keep things and do I want to hoard them? Do I want to get rid of them? What do I want to do with all of these things that I have? Because my lifestyle is just that I tend to move around a lot. I tend to move to different places and different cities, and having a lot of books and having a lot of things has always just been such a hindrance for me. So learning to let go of stuff was something that I learned to do, and I actually really appreciate that a lot. So if it was a book I knew that I could get again, or I could read it somewhere else, or in the future and just pick it up again if I wanted to, I let it go. And that's kind of like how I was trying to like deal with my books, was like, what can I find again easily and what's not something that I would not be able to find again. So I have no qualms with getting rid of books that maybe didn't necessarily make me that happy, or weren't that interesting to me, that I DNF'd, because there's no reason for them to sit here, because somebody else will like them. Somebody else will find them useful, hopefully, or interesting, or give them a chance. And there's no reason for me to hold on to it. So I am definitely a person who donates a lot of stuff. I don't reread books that often, but with books that just made a huge impact on me, or just I don't know, this filled me with a lot of joy, I'm definitely not going to get rid of those. So, question 5. Do you have a favorite place you like to go when looking for secondhand books? Yes. So I told you before about World of Books, and that's an online store, but normally I really just like to go to garage sales, library sales, church sales, Goodwills, thrift stores, any place that's getting rid of books. It didn't matter what it was. I'd always want to stop and just check it out, because you never know. What's really interesting about Berlin is there are always just books sitting out on the sidewalk, like everywhere. You'll find just really old books from the 1930s and earlier, just on the street, like people getting rid of them. It makes me sad because I can't really read them, so I just don't allow myself to take them, because I know I'm definitely not reading those books. But I do miss that physicality of being able to you know, peruse and just kind of touch and like examine books, and you know, just because there is this type of like, you get a feel for a book sometimes. Sometimes it's maybe the cover artwork, or sometimes it's just something about it, something mysterious about the book, and you just have to have it, you know. That's really hard to replicate online. It's not the same experience. Question 6, hardback or paperback? Do you have a preference? Well, I feel like they both have their pros and cons. So for me, reading a paperback is much easier because it's just not as heavy. And I hate laying in bed and like reading, you know, when I'm like laying on the pillow and then I have the book up and like, I don't know how many times I've dropped a book on my face. It's been way too many that I'd like to admit. And you know, my wrists just get tired, and you're always kind of sort of uncomfortable with a hardcover book. But for traveling, it's great because it's not going to get ruined, and you know, it has a dust jacket, so it's going to be protected. Hardbound books, they just fit so well together, so cleanly and nicely, in a bookshelf or whatever. But for paperbacks, you have these like fun options of doing all of these cutouts and having these, you know, really cool, sort of interactive in a way, I guess, artworks on the inside. You know, there's something about a book coming with a painting, or a book coming with some type of, you know, tactile surface that makes it really, really special, because I think the vibe of the artwork really speaks through. And usually I think when it's like a hardcover, it's more about the binding, it's more about the paste. They call it a paste down on the inside. That artwork, whether it's marbled or it's, you know, whatever it is on the inside, it's a little different. It's almost like hardbound books are more like heirlooms, like maybe things that you would keep for a longer period of time. But paperbacks are kind of more temporary, but they really do make up for that, and just like the artwork is usually always so cool. Have you found any real gems? Oh yes, so many! But recently, yes. But recently, like I was saying, there was this one that I found that I liked a lot. This is a secondhand book that I got from a Abominable Book Club subscription box, which I was so just ecstatic about, because they send you a new release and they also send you a used book release, or not release, but like, you know what I mean. And so I always get really excited because everybody gets their own book. They always get a different one. So it's just really, really fun. So I got this one, and I also got this Gaslit Nightmares, which I really, really love. They're Victorian and Edwardian ghost stories, and they're just so, I don't know, I just love the cover. I really, really love this, and it's introduced me to a lot of Victorian writers that I didn't know about. Another one is Stephen King's Night Shift. This was my friend Nicole sent me a box of books that she didn't want anymore, and it was so nice of her, and she sent me 10 of them or so, but this was one of them, which was really, really cool. And then she also gave me this really beautiful classic Tales of Horror, and this is one of those collections of horror stories that are very well known, Edgar Allan Poe and the like. But it's just the way that they rebind these all the time, you know, they're so beautiful. This one has some really beautiful embossing, and it also has this just beautiful red inside of these, like, I don't know, like ghosts or something. It's so beautiful and striking against the black and green cover, and then also these gilded pages. It's just gorgeous, and it just feels really significant and special. It's really cool. Question 8. Find a book from your shelves that you can donate to a good cause or your local charity. Yes, so the book one of the books I know that I will be donating is The Devil in the White City. This was an interesting book. It's academic, and it's using a lot of historical information to build up the World's Fair for you and show you how that worked and why it was significant. And then a very tiny little sub-story is H.H. Holmes. who, you know, is an American serial killer. He was taking advantage of this moment in time. I mean, I don't want to say it was boring, it was just so dry. So it was very hard for me to get into this, and it's mainly about the World's Fair and not really that much about H.H. Holmes. So I got maybe almost halfway through it and then I was done. I picked up this one. This was also from my World of Books website. I was really excited about this. A lot of people have recommended this as being a better alternative for me than The Devil in the White City. This is a very, 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 very good. This is exactly what I was hoping for, which was kind of more of like being a passenger on Holmes's shoulder and sort of following him around and see what he's up to. And, you know, I didn't know actually that it was a hardcover. Sometimes they don't actually tell you and it just comes as a surprise, and I'm okay with that. And so now that I have this one, I'm definitely going to be sending The Devil in the White City on its way to someone else because for me it was just meh. So I definitely would like to tag some people, but I definitely want, you know, sometimes I like to, you know, maybe tag people that I don't necessarily know that well, but who I do watch their videos, or I follow them on Instagram, just because sometimes, you know, it's nice to be tagged. And sometimes you kind of get locked into your own circles of who you're tagging, so I try to get out of there. So I'm just gonna open up my YouTube here. Also, it's been a year for me on YouTube since March, actually March 31st. And I didn't do anything to celebrate, but I'm going to. I've just been so, just so caught up in so many things. But I'm definitely going to do a little late celebration at some point. Okay, so let me check and see my subscriptions. And I think I want to I will tag Gloria McNeely, Erin Megan, and Brad Proctor. If you've already been tagged for this, I do apologize. However, if you are a booktuber and you are looking for a tag to do, you are automatically tagged to do this as well. So that's all for me. I hope you enjoyed this second Tome around tag. It was really fun to do. I don't think I've done a tag in a hot minute, so this was really nice. Thank you again to Alex from Hey Little Thrifter for tagging me in this. Thank you so much for hanging out with me this evening, spending your free time with me. I really, really appreciate it. If you liked this video, please like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell if you are up to getting some updates from me. And you can also follow me at Harpies in the Trees on Instagram. I hope this upcoming week goes well for you. Please take care of yourself, watch out for each other, and I will talk to you next time.